Hi, I watched an ad recently for a book, and they were talking about when to eat certain foods in this particular ad, and I thought actually they hit on quite a good point. We talk about the types of food to eat, but we don't often talk about how we blend the foods together, what we should eat with another food, because sometimes the way we prepare food can help us access the compounds that are beneficial to us, more so than if we eat it raw, for instance. So there's this whole sort of balance going on between the amount of polyphenols that you can get from a food when it's in its raw state, perhaps to when it's in a cooked state. And also there are certain processed foods as well that will bind with the minerals in that food. So when you have a cola with a meal, the minerals in that meal will probably bind to contents in the cola and you'll pass it through. It won't get actually into your body. So I thought it's worth talking about today for middle-aged women. So my name is Sam, I'm a nutritional therapist, and my aim is to help women going through this mid-year stage, perimenopause, menopause, and into older age as easily and painlessly as possible. And so I'd like to share a few things with you that may be of benefit. So I thought, rather than go over loads of foods, because it's actually quite a large subject, this, it's massive, I thought I'd look at soy specifically today, because it is the most potent, say, phytoestrogen that we may include in our diet. And a phytoestrogen is a plant estrogen that mimics our estrogen, so it can help us increase our levels or decrease our levels, believe it or not, depending on where they're at. So it can be very useful as part of our diet. One thing to keep in mind is when you do include soy, the benefits are better when you're consistent with having it in your diet on a regular basis, rather than months here and there. And that's quite important with a lot of these foods. Consistency in how we eat is important, but seasonal is also important. That's another topic. So to maximise the absorption of these phytoestrogens, they're called isoflavones. I have my notes. I'm sorry, I always have to refer to notes or I forget where I'm at. And I've never known particularly how to say this. I meant to check it before I started the video and I haven't. There's two in particular, genistein and diastein, which are known to be beneficial as phytoestrogens. And we have, the way we process it, the way we cook it, prepare the food is important. Our gut bacteria has an input here as well, which we mentioned ages ago in another video. And things that we need to avoid, and preparation methods to avoid to help us get the best from it. And when it comes to soy, I've made a note of a few of the foods that come under this category: tempeh, miso, natto, tofu, edamame, and soy milk as a few. So if we start at processing, one of the best ways to get the most out of this soy is fermented soy. So this would be tempeh, miso, and natto. I don't know whether natto is available. I've never seen it, I have to admit, in the shops. But tempeh, yes, is, and miso definitely as well. And this basically converts the isoflavones so they're more easily absorbed. So it's quite simple. The fermentation, which we find with other foods, fermenting them makes some of these compounds more available to us. It helps break down that food and basically gives us, I suppose, less work to do in many ways, but that fermentation helps develop these compounds. Another way is when we cook it, we need to really be very light with our cooking. Steaming, simmering, or light saute are the best methods because high heat or long cooking can actually destroy isoflavones. So this is across the board with many foods. If we go too high with heat, with proteins it's called denaturing, it breaks them down, and we can lose a lot of the potency of our foods. So the sort of steaming, which is lighter, simmering, which is not boiling, boiling is that would destroy it. So having the flash cooking which is often used, and a steam stir fry are quite good ways of doing it. So, like saute. But if you do boil, say, edamame beans, for instance, then if you keep the water, then you can utilise that in a soup or in a stew, so you can get the benefits there that might be released into the water. But too much heat can be damaging. Also, I've found that if you pair it with some fat, dietary fat, like sesame seed oil, then we can potentially, this wasn't proven, improve its absorption. And we find that with fats included in diets, it helps us take on board the fat-soluble vitamins, which are A, D, E and K. That's really important that we have those, and it helps it get into our bodies. So you might try something like, if you're cooking tofu, have sesame seed oil drizzled on at the end. Sometimes a peanut sauce, because peanuts are fairly fatty, that could be beneficial. And then if we look at the gut microbiome, when I first started looking at studies over soy, and there's been a lot of negative information around soy, and a lot of it's been taken out of context in many ways. Science from, say, the Far East always suggested that it was protective when it comes to cancer, and because of these two compounds, the genistein and daidzein. And it would appear that the thought that it was damaging has been misrepresented, and that a certain amount of soy in your diet is beneficial. I think the quality is incredibly important. As I say every time, look for organic, because a lot of it's now genetically modified, and that isn't necessarily going to be of benefit. So look for organic. But what has also been found that the gut bacteria, each of us have a different setup in our guts, and people from the Far East have a different gut bacteria to ours, because their foods that they eat, their bacteria has developed around that. And for us it's different. So they're able to really break down the soy and get these isoflavones out of it and utilise it beneficially for the body. But there are some things that we can do to actually help our gut bacteria to help absorb these isoflavones. Eating soy regularly, I've already mentioned, that's one of them. So it helps to build that gut bacteria. High fibre diet, we know that feeds gut bacteria, so that's really supportive here as well. Fermented foods, if we eat fermented foods, we're getting the readily available isoflavones to feed the gut bacteria that like them and help develop them through those foods. A diverse plant food intake is also beneficial. That's across the board, I think, with pretty much anything that we're trying to absorb. I think if you've got a good range of fruits and vegetables in your diet, you're going to be doing well. And one thing that I haven't spoken about for a long time, which cropped up when I was looking at this particular subject, is avoiding antibiotics. Now, they disrupt the gut bacteria. They knock it out. It's not selective. It just knocks the whole lot out. I had some just before Christmas, thinking I'd got a bacterial infection, but it turned out it was all viral. And my gut is just now, we're in May, getting back to normal. And I have taken a supplement to help me the last week, and it's definitely helping me. It's taken me a long time to get my gut back to where it was. And I suppose maybe I'm more sensitive to it. I'm aware of my gut balance, perhaps because as a nutritional therapist, I'm conscious of foods I'm eating and what they're going to do to me. So it might be I'm more aware. But it has taken me a particularly long time. But I haven't had antibiotics for probably about 15 years. So it's a long time since I last had them. So avoiding them is ideal. I always say take them when absolutely essential. They're absolutely amazing when it comes to certain situations and life saving. But something we can actually fight ourselves, I think let your immune system do the job, support it and let it do the job. But anyway, getting off track. Things we need to avoid when it comes to soy. We need to be careful of any sort of ultra processed foods. The quality is going to be questionable. Preparation also may not be the best. And a lot of these products on the market, they might be really diluted, and therefore you're not going to get much of the isoflavones anyway. Supplements are available to get some of these benefits, but food tends to be better for most people. So it's the place one should start. So looking for the best quality, as I say, organic, and looking for fermented is a good place as well. A few suggestions. Miso soup is lovely. Maybe add some tofu, maybe drizzle on some sesame seed oil afterwards. A tempeh bowl with brown rice, so we've got a good fibre there with the fermented tempeh, and a mix of vegetables, get those plant-based foods in. And a smoothie. I'm not keen on soy milk, but again, if you look for organic, it can be beneficial. So maybe a smoothie with that, and some flaxseed, where you're getting a bit more phytoestrogen, a bit more fibre, good essential fats as well. That could be a good idea to include. And my final note really is that a moderate intake of soy seems to be good for most adults. There doesn't seem to be any particular downside, and actually potential benefits from a cardiovascular disease perspective, as well as the menopausal symptoms. Yes, one reason again for taking it or eating soy regularly, and I have to admit I don't, and I know I should try it more often. The phytoestrogens are not generally stored in fat like our own estrogen, so you know, regular intake can help if you need to boost your estrogen levels. Yes, generally, I've got further notes, it's generally absorbed pretty easily, metabolized pretty quickly, and then we sort of get rid of those isoflavones and excrete them within hours or a couple of days of having consumed. I'm stroking Molly, by the way, if you're thinking, what's she doing? my little dog. So regular intake is recommended here. So that's a little bit about soy. I hope that's useful. And I think actually I'll be more aware as I go forward, advising on when to eat certain foods, what to mix them with, how to cook them. I think that might be more beneficial to ladies going through the mid-years. Let me know if you think that would be useful, because it's all very well me saying eat flax seeds, eat soy, eat, you know, include this, this and this, but it might be beneficial just to give a little bit more info on how to prepare it and how to release those compounds. So please let me know. Please share this video if you think it might be useful for somebody you know. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. It doesn't cost anything. And I thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you. Bye-bye. Just to confirm, there is no sponsorship attached to this video or adverts. Thank you.